edge over Buffalo also after 2. Again, we are assured of one Eastern Conference semifinal matchup right now, and that's the Washington Capitals. Will start Sunday night from the Mike Richter has a 1-1 record with a 1.50 goals against and should excel in net for the Rangers. Meanwhile, on the offensive side, there are a number of guys. On the offensive side of things, there are a number of guys to look at. Mark Messier pacing the Rangers so far with 4 goals, 3 assists in the playoffs. Has 8 points against the Capitals this season. Washington, though, as we all know, taking on a bit of a new spark. And one big part of it, obviously can't be the whole part of it, because he's not on the ice. But the coach, Jim Schoenfeld, before he took over, Capitals are not a playoff team. They are right now moving on into the second round. Interesting, the head-to-head matchup. The Capitals with a huge edge as far as playoff experience against one another. The Islanders, or rather the Capitals, have 104 playoff games against the Rangers. You see the Rangers just 31 total playoff games against Washington. And Barry, as you look at that series, Rangers and Capitals, I mean, completely different from what the Capitals were up against Pittsburgh now as they go up against the Rangers.
Well, Jim Schoenfeld said in the Pittsburgh series was a team against a group of very talented individuals. Now, Jim Schoenfeld's got a team against a very talented team. Rangers are a 4-unit team. They got strong four lines. Who are they going to check? Who's Poulin going to check? Who's Ridley going to check? If you check Messier, Graves is going to score. If you check Graves, Kovalev's going to score. So it's a lot different situation than they had against Pittsburgh. They had to shut down Lemieux. They had to shut down Stevens. They had to shut down Jagger, which he did. Now, if they shut down 3 guys, there's 3 more guys take their place. Nemchinov's on the 4th line. This guy can score 30 goals on most clubs, so it's going to be a very, very tough series to watch.
How about Washington offensively? What's the other side of that? Juneau is, I think, just a cut below almost a superstar-type offensive player. He's given them a new lift, something they did not have before the Al Iafrate deal.
Definitely. That trade was a funny trade. Iafrate is an elite defenseman, and you don't usually trade elite defensemen for a young forward, but Joe Juneau's made a believer out of me. His name's hard to say the way you guys say it, but he's a star. He's made great plays. He plays under pressure. He's physically tough. He's taken a pounding. He's not a big man. He's a great, great player, and he has give Washington a new dimension, and he better be great against the Rangers.
Shoney going to start Byron Defoe in that first game?
Tavaracci.
As you will see, after 2 periods of play now in the 2 games that you're enjoying tonight, first of all, did you ever think Fred Knipscher would score against Patrick Roy on a crucial spot? He did. It's 4-1 now after 2, Boston over Montreal. In the other game tonight, the Game 7, Claude Lemieux, his 4th goal of the series, beating the Dominator. They're 1 period away from eliminating Buffalo and moving on themselves. This is National Hockey Night on ESPN. If you're looking for a reliable place to service your car,
ESPN's coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. And by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. 2 periods complete, and the Bruins are leading it by a score of 4-1. Canadiens either have an enormous comeback or their season is over. Welcome back, everybody. Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, and Al Morganti. It has been a dominating game for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, no question. And now Montreal has to throw everything they have, and they'll have to open up to do that. They're going to have defensemen joining the rush. They're going to have to try long shots. They're going to have to do whatever they can and hope to beat John Casey. John Casey this season was maligned, not only by the media here, but also by the fans. He is 20 minutes away from putting all of that behind him. In the second period, he made 5 tough saves, a lot of them from in tight just like this. They got 1 by him. But 20 minutes from now, if John Casey holds, all of that negative stuff that he had to absorb during the regular season will seem about 3 years old.
John Casey has been just enough, as he is 2-2 in the playoff series, going after victory number 3. You see the shot. Boston Bruins have had the advantage there, and as part of that defensive core of this team, Don Sweeney, we mentioned before, he, Iafrate, Wesley have been magnificent here in shutting down the Canadiens in the series by not giving them scoring opportunities. Our scoring summary in this game looks like this. First period, Murray got his 2nd of the playoffs. Sweeney and Stumple at 3:43. Ted Donato is 3rd from Shaw at 11:47. And on their first power play chance, 1:23 of the second, Adam Oates is 3rd from Donato and Smolinski. Knipscher on his 2nd from Stewart, made it 4-0 at 4:22 of the second period before Damphousse Savage finally got the Montreal Canadiens on, and for Vincent Damphousse, that is his first series.
They need more from him.
Al Morganti.
Well, coming into this game, as Bill mentioned, Casey had been lined, and everybody wondered how could Harry Sinden kind of diss Patrick Waugh. I talked to some people in the Boston organization, and maybe it wasn't so much as dissing Waugh. They said to me, hey, you've been reading everything about Waugh. Have you read one word about Casey today? That should have been the logical question. How's Casey going to stand up to this pressure? But Sinden managed to get so much attention, so much spotlight on Waugh. Casey kind of came in with an easy road here. Not that it'd be easy in the game, but no media attention, and I think it's showing up in this game. Maybe Harry was crazy like a fox.
Well, as we mentioned, Al, earlier in the game, Harry Sinden doesn't say anything that potentially inflammatory without having a definite purpose in mind. That certainly may have been it, and if it was protecting John Casey, that has worked, and I am really, really surprised that the Bruins have gotten 4 by Patrick Waugh in this hockey game, especially the long one by Teddy Donato, because Patrick responded last year in the playoffs. They were down 2 games to none to the Quebec Nordiques, and the goalie coach for the Nordiques said, I found a flaw in Patrick Waugh's style. Well, Waugh actually single-handedly just about beat the Nordiques the next 4 games. And remember last year, Gary, that poll by the Montreal newspaper, should Patrick stay or should Patrick go when he was struggling? The majority of fans that responded to the poll said, trade Patrick Waugh. He went on a terrific regular season tear right after that and simply won the Conn Smythe in the playoffs. So he generally responds as well as anybody I've ever seen to the type of thing that Harry Sinden said.
Well, he's 70-41 in his playoff history, but as we said, Jacques Demers is well aware that the Boston Bruins have been a team that's given him the most trouble in the playoffs, and it is that way again this season if this thing is going to hang on. Brian Sutter, before the game, we got a chance to talk with him about the home ice advantage, which is what you play for in the whole regular season. They got it.
Quite frankly, I've laughed at a lot of places in the league you go into, and they say they're playing these 3 or 4 young guys late in the season in crucial situations. Well, tonight we're going to have 9 forwards in the lineup that haven't finished their 2nd year in the National Hockey League.
You mentioned earlier how proud he is of that. It has nothing to do with home ice, folks. So just ignore my intro to that. We talked about the fact he's got young players, and what he was talking about is that other teams always are promoting the fact they've got a lot of rookies or young players, and nobody ever says that about Boston except their coach.
Well, Brian Sutter has made sure to play his young guys in key situations all season long. He firmly believes that they are playoff ready. Whether they are 20, 21, or 22, it doesn't matter to Brian Sutter because he has confidence in them during the regular season, and this isn't anything new for guys like Brian Smolinski.
Pat DePuzzo, the linesman's broken a skate blade, so that's the reason for the delay here in the start of this 3rd period. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage in ESPN will be continuing tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Can they do it? The San Jose Sharks have taken Detroit to Game 7. That will be in Detroit. Archer Zerbe finally really got hacked 7-1 last night as Detroit piled it on. Dino Ciccarelli a couple of goals in that game. Series is tied at 3-3. Sergei Fedorov has not had a great playoff offensively. He's had a real struggle. You see the Western Conference series tied at top. Dallas has already won. Calgary, Vancouver will play Game 7, and Toronto's finished up theirs. Al Morganti.
Well, Pat DePuzzo's skate blade actually broke when he was trying to come back on the ice for this period, so it's not a matter of just getting a new edge on it or whatever. He has to go back over to the Boston side, get it repaired, and come on. I suppose they could start with 2, but it's only a matter of a couple of minutes. There is an extra referee, of course, in playoff games, but because it's just a minor repair, they'll wait for him to come out and get it started.
Al, I'm under the impression that the linesmen and the referees carry an extra pair of skates with them. I'm kind of surprised that he would be getting it repaired. Do you think there's a chance perhaps he's just getting a spare skate on?
I think I'm told he's getting it repaired. The blade, one of the tacks put in on the bolts on, I don't know what they are building.
Rivets.
The rivets. Yeah, the rivets. Good Canadian rivets in the skate.
All right, we're waiting for the linesman to get that corrected. While we do that, let's go back to Steve and Barry. Steve?
Gareth, thanks. 3rd period underway in New Jersey. I mean, there have just been a number of scrambles in front of both goals. There, Bill Guerin, the opportunity, stopped by Dominic Hasek. Jim Dowd piling away at it as well. The score remained 2-1 in favor of New Jersey early on in the 3rd.
Well, the Devils trying to move on there. They would have the home ice advantage against either of these 2 teams here, as the winner of that game and this game will be playing one another. New Jersey had the higher seed as they finished 3rd. Here's Pat DePuzzo back out. Lance Corporal Kevin Girard out there at Camp Pendleton, California. Dad's here. We know you're leaving for Okinawa. Wanted to say hi. Your dad, one of the goal judges working tonight's game from the Hartford Whalers crew. it in the corner. Smolinski there. Hit by DiPietro and taken down by DiPietro. Barry Fraser standing there, let that one go. Canadiens started up ice. Brian Bellows gets some opportunities here. Straight down the middle he comes. Deflected wide. Good play by Bork, who got in front of him and deflected it. DiPietro trying to center it. Bounces off the skates all the way back up to the blue line. Smolinski starts it up ice. Smolinski in a one-on-one with Patrice Brisebois. Smolinski wanted the backhand shot, left it for Marois. Marois taking away Brisebois, lost it. Reed shot blocked. Reed hung onto by Stevenson, all over him. Turner Stevenson, the young rookie, had an armful there. The shot blocked. Marois back to Oates, just by him. Shot. Wesley save. Waugh. Rebound loose. Reed got spun around as he tried to get the shot, and it's finally brought out of the zone by Kirk Muller. Muller tied up by Reed. Just on the ice, Leclaire dumping it back into the zone. Canadiens. Brisebois picks it up. Right around the dasher, it rolls. Muller over there, pinned up by Hughes. Leclaire behind the net. Leclaire had it, lost it. Wesley batted it away. Kevin Haller shot wide, just got it back in. Kirk Muller over. Muller got pinned up on the boards. Odoline held it in. His pass intercepted by Marois. Marois to Adam Oates. Oates to 360 to Iafrate. Iafrate in. Iafrate in a 2-on-3. Both teams over the boards. Leclaire for the Canadiens. Got to make it happen. The Boston Bruins not taking any bad penalties. Virtually no penalties at all. Only one. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen 5-on-5 in this game. Keane's got it. Keane. Stumple will move up on him, forcing the play deeper. Odoline behind the net.
Canadiens need a momentum changer. They need a lift. I mean, if it's a goal, the bigger the lift would come from a shot goal, a long shot from the blue line, something like that. But there's no question. The Bruins can sense one more goal, and this one's theirs.
Yes. Little jam up in the corner. There is Kirk Muller of the Montreal Canadiens, and on our Miller Genuine Draft League leaderboard for the playoffs, he leads all goal scorers with 6. Modano Cicerelli, Sergei Makarov have 5, and 5 more, or 7 more, tied for 5th with 4 goals each. Muller, however, has been held down in this one. Regular season where he played injured for virtually all of it. Didn't get it cranked up until the last quarter of the season. 17:32 left to go, maybe, in the Canadiens season. Casey tried to cut it off, could not. Brunet stepped over. J.J. Daigneault held it in. Roberts behind the net. Centering pass right through the crease. Nobody there. Tipped out of the zone. Back to get it. Desjardins. Brunet taken down by Knipscher. Knipscher forcing the play deep. Bruins making sure to drive that puck back as far as they can on the forecheck. Into the zone. Desjardins got it in. Knocked down Carbonneau by Shaw, and a penalty coming up. Shaw is going to get the interference call, and the Canadiens get a power play. ESPN's National Hockey Night full house here at Boston Garden. Over 15,000 on hand. They've had a lot to cheer for. That's the reason. Here's the chance. The Montreal Canadiens are getting the power play. Just their second. Shaw interference at 2:57. So the Canadiens have a chance to cut this to a 2-goal lead right here. 4 minutes into the 3rd period. Shot Brisebois. Save made by Casey. And cleared out by Reed. Brisebois goes back to get it. Casey, big pad save on that one. Canadiens know this power play essential. Danfus sends it in. Muller couldn't stop it. Came all the way to center.
Yeah, that's one of the problems here in Boston. There's a ledge between the glass and the boards. The top of the boards is actually a ledge. That one got hung up on the ledge and went all the way around on top of the board.
Ray Bork did not clear. Held in by Leclaire. Leclaire faking. Muller. Bellows in front of the net. Near side, Brisebois shot. Save Casey again. Brisebois from the point. It moved in.
John Casey still looks cool as a cucumber. Boy, he just stands there and let it hit him.
Look at this. An icing call on a power play. Face-off back in the Canadiens end. Let's check in with Steve Levy.
Gareth Thorne, some more of that good goaltending stuff going on in New Jersey. Watch the play. Bobby Halik, perfect pass to Corey Miller, but Dominic Hasek there again. It remains 2-1 New Jersey. Time starting to become a factor.
You know, Barry Melrose mentioned how much fun it is watching Dominic Hasek play goal. You see that save? I mean, he throws his stick down and dives on the puck with both hands very often. He's the most unorthodox goalie in the NHL and was the best one this year. John Casey, routine, right? Energy efficient. He has not been rattled in this game at all. His composure has been 100% there.
Ran right up the face of Adam Oates. After that puck came and deflected off the goaltender. Brunet poke checked away by Donato. Brunet forced back into his own end. 40 seconds left on this Canadiens power play. The defending Stanley Cup champions, very close to being out of it. The Stanley Cup champions a couple of years ago are already out of it, the Pittsburgh Penguins. New names, new blood, new teams are going to make a run if the score stays this way. Brunet, Wesley all over him, eating him up. Smolinski kicked away to DiPietro. Back up along the point, or they tried. Brunet cut it off. DiPietro out in front. Savage centered, shot DiPietro, blocked, rebound, picked up by Smolinski. Smolinski short-handed. Desjardins, Smolinski, Iafrate missed it. Al Iafrate ran it all the way up ice. And he had that big shot. They didn't get it on net. Ray Bourque. Let's try it again, 3-on-2. Kenneth Shear. Ray Bourque scores!
What a game little Freddie Knipscher has played. He has scored one of the Boston goals, and now he picks up an important assist. But Ray Bourque was up on the play to take the pass, blasted this one low. Ray Bourque knows when to go high and low.
They heard that all the way back in Montreal.
What a shot, though. That real speed replay gave you an indication of how impossible it was for Patrick Waugh to stop that one. And Jacques Demers can look on now and only think and know that he's going to have a miracle to pull this one out the way the Boston Bruins have been playing.
Ray Bourque's first goal of this series, but the 32nd in his 146 playoff games. Patrick Waugh and the Montreal Canadiens maybe in the final minute of being the defending Stanley Cup champions. Their captain. A 5-1 lead for the Boston Bruins. Ray Bourque is among the Cruzies, Bill Russells, Bobby Orrs, Ted Williams of Boston. He is one of those on that mantle. And Harry Sinden, the GM of this team, who had so much to say.
Got a little sweat going there, doesn't he? Well, he deserves to have a little sweat going. Game 7, boy, when you're involved in it, whether you're a player, a GM, or a trainer, they're absolutely nerve-wracking.
Patrick Waugh. It is amazing. In the regular season, he is 17-6-3 in his career against Boston. In the playoffs, he is 18-17 against Boston.
Soon to be an even 500 if this doesn't turn around.
They're practicing carrying the cup in the stands. It's a long way from that, but it's getting closer. A 5-1 lead. Ray Bourque from Knipscher at 5:03, an even strength goal. The penalty had ended. And the Boston Bruins have a 5-1 lead, and Patrick Waugh gets the Bronx cheer in Boston on the easy save. Fred Knipscher, who we've talked about, played his hockey in the WCHA for St. Cloud State, 3 years there. Then moved in with the Boston Bruins after playing at their Providence minor league team. Has come up and given them a shot in the arm, a goal and an assist in tonight's game.
Boy, he hasn't looked like a rookie as well. I think that's the greatest compliment you can give to a coach like Brian Sutter. Yes, his kids have to play like veterans, but the coach can create so much confidence and give so much confidence to the young kids. That's what Jim Schoenfeld has done in Washington.
Garden erupting. Boston got here by winning a decisive 6-game in Montreal in order to force Game 7. Near side for Kevin Haller. Haller dumps it in. Casey back. His heart's got to be pounding away here. Comes to Stumple. Haller the poke check to Keane. Murray stripped him. Sent back in. Haller. Hughes was trying to set Murray up on the cut. Haller will chase it down. This proud Montreal Canadiens team in the playoffs for the 24th consecutive year. They have always done well against the Boston Bruins, as we told you earlier. 5th time these teams have played in a 7th game in the series. The Canadiens won the first 3, but the last one was won by the Bruins in '91. When Andy Moll led them to an Adams Division championship against Patrick Roy. And they're leading here 5-1.
Hey, the Miss Perfect pageant. Yeah.
We're watching hockey.
Hockey. Hockey.
Miller Lite presents the Miss Perfect Face-Off.
Okay, Bob, Miss Georgia goes to the corner. She's right, the right. Here's the puck coming loose by Chop. He goes!
Brought to you by Miller Lite. If you can combine great taste and less filling, you can combine anything.
Oh, that'll be snatching. 2 minutes for Miss Congeniality.
Bad call. Good beer.
Great taste, less filling. Can your beer do this?
If you're looking for a little spice in your life, you'll love the new Grand Prix Sport Coupe. Sure, it has all the safety of dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. But with a 24-valve, 210-horsepower V6, it still generates plenty of heat. The Grand Prix Sport Coupe from Pontiac.
Sums up the feeling of the Bruins fans, known as the Bees. We will keep you posted, of course, on the other game. The winner of this game will play the winner of the Devils-Buffalo game. They are playing another defensive game. You see the time left. New Jersey leading 2-1 in the third. Marois shot trickled wide. If Boston wins and New Jersey wins, they would play the first game in New Jersey. If Boston wins and Buffalo wins, the first 2 games will be played here in Boston. Backhand shot. Deflected wide of the net. Turner Stevenson turning it one center. Muller. Muller tied up in the corner by Iafrate. Canadiens have everybody pinching in. Cleared around near side. Daniel. Daniel poke checked away. Here's what it creates. Marois and Oates. Marois and Oates. Marois couldn't get lined up for the shot as Oates threw it back to it. Muller up to Leclerc. Ray Bourque is there. Bourque. Leclerc got by 1. Leclerc can't get by Wesley. 12:42 to go. Third period. Popovich sends it in by Reed. Bellows couldn't control. Picked up by Ray Bourque. Marois sends it across ice. Bruins changing it up. Brisebois goes back to get it. Shot 25-22 in favor of the Bruins. Got a big 5-1 lead for Boston on the icing calls. RB's the storyline at the packed Garden in Boston. Ray Bourque, his 32nd career playoff goal was number 5. Boston rookies, you see what they have done tonight. They put up 5 points in this game. Ted Donato, a goal and an assist. Our Visa storyline. There's Fred Knipcher. We were talking about 5'11", 185-pounder out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, where he was born. Played at St. Cloud State, a college that had been Division III college hockey until Herb Brooks came along and made it Division I. And it was Division I when he played there. Patrick Roy loves it and hangs on.
What about the hitting of Cam Stewart? For that matter, the pass that he made to Freddie Knipcher for Knipcher's goal. But Cam Stewart has been a dominant hitter in this game.
He passed up his final year of eligibility at the University of Michigan to join this Boston Bruins organization very late. They did not sign him until the end of August. And he certainly had a presence here.
Think he regrets it?
No, and neither does Boston. Only the University of Michigan regrets it, right? And they don't regret it, really, because he's been successful at this level. Yeah, right. Cleared back up along the blue line. Stumpel came over trying to get it. Could not. Bellows sends it in. Sweeney goes to the corner. 11:40 to go, third period. Hughes. Near side for Murray. Boston's done this a lot easier than anybody anticipated in this game. Brings Roy back. Roy has not had a good night in net for the Canadiens. The one that trickled in is going to live a while in Montreal. Danfus dropped it. Bellows shot. Missed it. Didn't get it on net. Wow, over the line. Back for Danfus. Danfus centering Bellows again, but he couldn't get it lined up. And it's cleared out of the zone to score. Both teams over the boards on the change. Shaw brings it in. Shaw to it. All alone down low. Shot it from behind his skate. Didn't get it on net. Lloyd Roberts back. Knocked down. Shaw moved in. Brunet in the middle. His shot blocked by his own player. He ran right into DiPietro. Stewart the other way. 3-on-2. Now 3-on-3. Stewart drops it off. Turnaround shot deflected by Ronan into the seat. Boston Bruins. They hang on for another 10:46, and they move into the second round.
Face it, Radley delivers. And here are just a few of the happy Radley faces that keep coming back. At Radley Acura, we deliver lots of happy faces with unequal service on our entire Acura line. And Radley has special lease programs in effect, but only for a limited time.
Come visit us at Radley Acura in Bayless Crossroads. I'm Vincent Radley, and I'm the face behind the name and the reputation.
Radley Acura, Bayless Crossroads.
At American Service Center, Mercedes-Benz in Arlington, you spoke and we listened.
What I really don't like is this whole negotiation thing. No hassling, no bickering, no haggling. Just sell me the car.
I wish somebody would invent a new way to buy a car.
We agree. We've established a best value program for all our Mercedes.
I want the convenience of not negotiating.
The right Mercedes at the best value without the stress of negotiating.
Boston Garden, it has rocked. And they're chanting Casey, Casey, their goaltender. John Casey, who has held the Canadiens to that one goal. Down to 10:38 left to go in the third. Ray Bourque sends it back in. J.J. Daniel on the chase. Daniel for the Canadiens starting it out. Tipped ahead by Brunet and into the seats as Ray Bourque had moved in on him. 24 Stanley Cups. 24-9 against the Bruins in playoff games in their illustrious 77-year history. The Montreal Canadiens may have some numbers put up on the other side in those columns tonight.
Everywhere the Montreal defense has turned, they have seen Bruins people in their faces. It has been a physically dominant game as I've seen the Bruins play. The Bruins are not a big team, but they are bigger than the Montreal Canadiens. Even with the Canadiens dressing some bigger rookies like Turner Stevenson and Brian Savage, the Bruins sure have looked a lot bigger.
They are a very hard team to judge. There are some nights when they play games and you wonder how they could ever win a game. Then there are other nights like this one where they come out and they really dominate. And it is what Brian Sutter says. They are a team not overly laden with great natural talent. So you must work. If you do not work, Boston doesn't win. And that's what he's preached from day one 2 years ago now. When they listen, this is what they get for results. Adam Oates. And believe me, I do not mean they don't have talented players. I mean, you've got Bourque and you've got Oates and you've got Wesley. Defensemen like Roberts, but not deep in forwards. Not deep in scoring.
No, because the line that was out there before, there's been three rookies. Cherkowski, Knipscher, Cam Stewart.
Yeah. And Kalinsky heading up another one. Wesley in the corner, pins the puck up, no whistle on it. Moves along the boards by Guy Carbonneau to Keane. Keane tried to drop it back in front. Carbonneau got it. Carbonneau tried to run it in, couldn't. It's just sitting there. Gloved away by Donato. What a scrum. And Donato clears it out. There's a Bruins play for you.
Did it ever get to John Casey?
Never. Had nothing to do with hockey. It was all scrum. Wow, Lodeline. Lodeline clears it out of the zone.
right, it's that time again for the MCI Proof Positive Play of the Night from the Buffalo, New Jersey game. This was just moments after the Sabres had scored to make it 1-0. Martin Brodeur, what's the save off of Dave Hannon, the hero of Game 6. So it goes from 2-0 Buffalo to now 2-1 New Jersey.
Well, two winners play, as we told you. El Morganti.
Well, usually when a team loses, and if Montreal does indeed lose this game, they say they're going to play golf. According to Dr. Kinnear, the Canadiens' doctor, Patrick Law, within 2 days, should go get his appendix removed.
An amazing story. When he went into the hospital, that appendicitis, they've been able to get the antibiotics working so that they felt it's safe for him to play.
So interesting what flared it up. He was playing with his little kid, and he took a punch right to the solar plexus. And his appendix immediately became inflamed, but it responded to the antibiotics. And after 2 days in the hospital, he simply came trucking out of the hospital to pick up another win in this series. And you know what? Patrick Law said a mouthful when he said, you know what? Our team isn't as hungry as they were last year. We shouldn't have lost Game 6. We didn't have that eye of the tiger. And you know what? Notwithstanding his performance here, yes, Patrick Law has not played like Patrick Law, but how many games are you going to win when you only score 1 goal? Yes, the Bruins have been strong, but this Montreal team is better than to allow every battle along the boards to be won by the Boston Bruins. I think I agree with Patrick Law. This team doesn't look nearly as hungry as it did throughout the playoffs last year.
And they are not as hungry as Boston. Right. The Bruins clearly are hungrier. Malinsky took that on his own goaltender. Casey knocked it away. 3-on-2. Donato. Donato, Hines and Smolinski. Donato over Smolinski. Back. Donato shot. Nope. Pass to Hines. Hines couldn't get there in time, but it's directed on net. Back the other way. Stevenson into the zone. Stevenson making a move on Shaw. Stood up Smolinski. Played by Leclerc. Leclerc trying to set it up. Got knocked down by Shaw. Ted Donato comes the other way. Strong game for Donato. He'll wait a while. His team coming over the bench. Just flip that one into the zone. Comes right back to Shaw. Shaw looking to make sure they cleared and sends it around. Boston wants no whistles here. Bellows. Let that go to Downfus. Vincent Downfus in. Downfus drops it off. Down low. Savage. Casey the save. Rebound swept away by Hughes. He's feeling mighty good and mighty strong in between the pipes for the Bruins right now. And mighty big for a little guy. The chant goes again. 5'10", 155-pounder. 32-year-old John Casey in his 10th year. It's his 7th playoff series in his career. First time he's ever faced the Canadiens in the playoffs is this series. Casey watches that one go high and wide. Shot by Haller. Scores! Kevin Haller from the point. Makes it a 5-2 game with 6:48 left to go.
I'm not sure John Casey saw all of this, but he was tucked back in his net, I think because Brian Bellows was standing to his right. Kevin Haller with a good low shot just inside the far left post. But John Casey was standing in his crease. But John Casey is usually a little more aggressive than this. Here's the low shot. It was elevated for a moment. But you see where Casey is? I mean, that's deep in the net for a long shot like that. But you can see the Montreal leg there. That was Brian Bellows. Maybe that's what kept him back.
Kevin Haller gets the goal. Bellows setting up the screen. 5-2. Canadiens add another to the board. J.J. Daniel going back to get it for the Canadiens, but they're running out of time. Down to 6:37 remaining. Everybody into the offensive zone. Oates moves up on the forecheck. Daniel's got it. Reed moves in on him. Boston trying to shut it down right there at center, and they do again as Oates was there. Played over to Ray Bork, who's got to go. Marois sends it in. Gets to Oates to Reed. Missed it short side. Reed battling for his own rebound. 13-12 the time of the second goal by the Canadiens. Kevin Haller's first of this series, third of his career. Brisebois and Downfus pick up the assist. J.J. Daniels trying to get up. Casey loves it. He doesn't want to stop the clock. Drops it off for Ray Bork. Again, we'll keep you posted on what's going on in New Jersey. Game 7 there against the Buffalo Sabres. Devils a 2-1 lead at the moment. J.J. Daniel, gloved by Waugh, left it in front. Haller almost left it in front for Boston Bruins. Turn around on the near side. Haller to drive it up and out of the zone. Carmelo came to help. Stewart was there and knocked it away. Boston will regroup at center. Iafrate. Rikoski moves it. Tried to get it to Knitsch here. Holler was there in the middle. Send it to Sevigny. Intercepted by Iafrate. And the high flipped over the line. Going to chase it down in his own end. Carbono's got it. 5:20 left in the third. Sevigny left it. Keane the shot. Score! What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. 5:17 left, and it's 5-3. Yeehaw.
John Casey dropped to his knees on that shot, and Mike Keane ripped it over his shoulder. All right, Brian Sutter saying, settle down, guys, settle down. Jacques Demers is saying, we are alive. We are alive. Here's Mike Keane jumping into the play. You can see John Casey was already down. If Casey stands up in the play, he's got a little easier chance of getting to it, but he was going down to his knees on the play, and Mike Keane ripped it over his shoulder. Don't touch that dial, folks. This looked like it was over 5 minutes ago.
Just trying to run the clock down, and Boston may have been doing just that. And Montreal wasn't ready to be put to bed. That one hit the crossbar and in. And it's 5-3. 5:17 left on the clock. Kurt Muller comes out. Now all the Canadiens need to do here is get one, so they set themselves up for the final couple of minutes and a goalie pull. Sent in by Popovich. Canadiens are getting it in the offensive zone for the first time tonight with any regularity here. Smolinski's got it.
Did you notice that Montreal came back and scored a couple of goals when Boston stopped their big hitting game?
Smolinski, Donato in front. Centering pass at the side of the net. Rebounded all the way to the point. Can't be handled by Glenn Wesley. Casey cleared it across ice. Do you believe that?
He's pretty confident still.
Wow. All the way across ice at his own end with two Canadiens in the zone. Hines has it. Hines to Smolinski. Smolinski will dump and chase. Straight around Bellows. Got out. Bellows hauled down and takes somebody with him. Dave Reed centered for Reed, but Reed was still down on the ice with Bellows. Bellows moving it up. Downpoos got it out. Stewart there to get it. Sweeney on the bouncing puck sends it back into the zone. Third goal picked up by Keane, the third of this series. 13th of his playoff career. Sevigny and Carbonneau at 14:43. Shot. Casey makes the save of the blue liner. Taken by Bellows. Well, the Canadiens at 13-12 and 14:43 get a couple of quick goals to make it a 5-3 game. No call. Sweeney got hauled down. Ray Bourque. Bourque's number 5 goal looking a whole lot bigger than it did when it was scored.
Here come the Bruins with their hitting game again.
Stewart put the big shot on in the corner on Desjardins, but Desjardins got up and got it away. Haller sending it in. Shaw's there. Shaw trying to break to use. Desjardins again. Bellows off the boards on the near side. 2-5 for Danfus. Shaw is there. Stumble let it go 2-on-1. Murray and Hughes offside. Offside. 3:27 left. Canadiens one deep last breath.
If you lust for power, try this. 1,340 cc's of rolling thunder. It's called Harley-Davidson, and you'll find it in all its glory at Southeast Harley in Cleveland, where you can get anything from an FXR to a BLT. But if you go, bring your love of the 2-lane blacktop and your Visa card, because at Southeast Harley, they'll take you to hog heaven, but they won't take American Express. Visa is everywhere you want to be.
It could only come from here. A land forever frozen. Perfectly pure. And the home of ice. Molson Ice. Ice brewed in Canada by North America's oldest brewery to be a few degrees colder, a few degrees bolder, yet smooth as ice. Molson Ice. From the land where ice was born.
Steve Levy back in our National Hockey Night studios. Buffalo and New Jersey. Shots in the third at 1 point. 15-3 New Jersey. Like that one. Stephane Richer, but Dominic's there again. Getting late, though. Back to Boston.
Getting late here. Two winners in these games play one another in the second round. Boston's got the 5-3. Daniels got the puck back at his own end. Bounced away by Stumpel. Ooh, that was close. J.J. Daniels starts it up ice. Guy Carbonneau. 3:07 to go. Carbonneau sends it in, avoiding the check of Murray. Casey Score comes Supple, can't get it by Keene. Keene sends it in. Murray banged him after he drove it in along the boards. Carmino battling for it. Boston clears the zone. While Odeline comes back to get it. These two teams meeting for the 756th time in their illustrious histories. Only Montreal and Toronto have played more games against one another in National Hockey League history than these two teams. Kevin Haller right back in. Ray Bourque back to get it. Bourque spun around by Carmino as the Bruins are changing up. Sweeney sends it out. Man, I mean, the glass is taking a beating. Back into the zone, offside, face off at center. 2:24 left.
Well, Jacques Demers for a moment thought that his team was going to be able to mount a comeback, and they still can with 2:24 to go. But boy, did Brian Sutter and his Boston Bruins ever pick it up when Montreal scored the third goal. They went back to a more aggressive forecheck, back to a more physical style. They stopped doing that for about 6 minutes in this period, and Montreal scored a couple of goals on them. So Brian, I know, immediately said, hey, boys, remember what got us that big lead.
Bruins have finished 20-14-8 at home against the Canadiens team that was 2 games under 500 on the road. And here in Game 7, Boston with 2:18 to get rid of in order to move on. Desjardins to Haller. Walensky up on the forecheck, deflected that wide. Donato moves in. See the game the Bruins play. Forechecking, holding Montreal. 3 forecheckers in that time. Iafrate play it from Casey. Hard around the boards, not out. Good work on the far side. Brings wide. The Canadiens can't hold it in. Turn around by Haller. Deflected a mile into the seats. While Stevie Hines' stick. 1:50 left. ESPN 2's Fire on Ice Stanley Cup playoffs. You'll see Sunday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The first game between the Washington Capitals and the New York Rangers. Sunday night, note the start time. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN 2. Joey Juneau and the Caps with Don Beaupre against the Rangers, who swept the New York Islanders. Round 2. Sunday night.
Well,
timeout.
All of that time and all of that space, they've disappeared for the Montreal Canadiens. They had a little room for about 8 minutes in this period, but now the Bruins have gone back to their aggressive forecheck, and there's no space and no time out there for Montreal. It's called timeout just to rest the key players with 1:50 to go. They've got to get Patrick Law off early.
I told you about Game 7s these teams have played. You take a look at the history of this. Going back to 1952, it was Maurice Richard who led the Canadiens to the finals with a victory there. 71, it was a quarterfinal game. There was a man by the name of Dryden in net who won that one. In 1979, Yvon Lambert and Guy Lafleur had big goals. And then 91, when Boston finally won a Game 7, he was in net then too.
Yep, you know that it didn't look good for Montreal. I talked to Dick Irvin, one of the Hockey Night in Canada announcers, and a great historian. He said that Game 6 that Boston won in Montreal was the first time since 1931 that the Canadiens had a chance to eliminate the Bruins on Montreal ice and failed to do so. Don't know how many times it's happened, but it's happened a number of times. First time since 1931 they failed to knock the Bruins out when they had a chance on Montreal ice.
A lot of people couldn't believe that when the Bruins came away with that victory the other night in Montreal. Bellows, the shot, hit the post! That was close! That hit the outside of the post. Extra skater, empty net, 1:20 to go. Bruins lead by 2. Roy's been pulled. Chased down by Brisebois. Into the middle. Reed missed the empty net.
Still shooting high.
That's right.
Even though Patrick's gone,
they got it in their heads. Even without a goaltender, shoot high in the net. 1 minute left to go. Boston 5. The defending Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens 3. Leclerc, Stewart! No goal, no goal. Offside.
No goal, but the consolation prize isn't bad. They get a face-off just outside the Montreal blue line. And with 50.7 seconds to go, doubtful that Jacques Demers can put Patrick Law back in. And the fans here have absolutely littered the ice, so there's going to be some delay.
Law sits and waits. His record's going to be 18-18 against Boston in the playoffs. His comments this morning and yesterday regarding Harry Sinden, the way to get back at Sinden is to beat him.
I remember what Brian Sutter said. He said that Patrick Roy is going to have a terrific game again because we're going to come at him. Here is Montreal's latest chance. It hit the edge of the net right near the post to John Casey's right.
It is always a game of inches in every sport. Right off the post. If that goes in, you got a 5-4 game with an extra skater. You don't. It didn't go in. It's 5-3. 50.7 seconds remaining. And when you're in Montreal and you lose in the first round, you hear about it for a long, long time. It doesn't go away.
That's a good point. A lot of other cities, within a week or a couple of weeks, everybody just starts looking to the next season. But in Montreal, St. Patrick knows that it's a religion.
Last time a defending Stanley Cup champion lost in the first round, the 90s Calgary Flames. Montreal Canadiens are in that situation right now.
Remember, Gary, earlier I said, well, Patrick Roy didn't have much support, so it's pretty difficult to blame him. Well, here we are now with the Montreal Canadiens with 3 goals. So you go back to Patrick's performance now and say, what if?
Yep, that's right.
What if?
And you will, and believe me, they will in Montreal in the newspapers. Especially that trickling goal that he could not find that rolled in behind him that Ted Donato scored. That was enormous. So for the Boston Bruins and Ray Bourque, they hold on for 50.7, and then they will be waiting to see who wins the Buffalo, New Jersey game, because that will be their opponent.
A typical dominant game for Ray Bourque. He has been wonderful in this game.
Adam Oates continues to add to his career numbers. He finished 3rd in the league in scoring during the regular season. Has been a dominant player in playoff games, and he has been involved in a lot of them along his career in St. Louis and here. And Adam Oates, his 89th playoff game, he had 105 points in 88 games coming into this one.
And he doesn't have Cam Neely with him. He has Dave Reed on one side, and he's had Dan Merwa on the other side. Doesn't matter. Whoever Adam Oates plays with, he produces.
The delay here while they clean the debris off the ice. Casey looking to add to his performance in net in a playoff situation. He is 5-5-6 during regular season games against Montreal in his career, but is going to go 3-2 in the playoffs against Montreal, and this is the first series he has ever played against them.
Well, obviously this faceoff is a must for the Montreal Canadiens, and they have to have a set play. They've got to get it up ice, get it in deep, and then regain possession immediately if they're not able to carry it over the line. And it'll be Kirk Muller against Adam Oates.
There you see the time remaining. Going back to get it is Bellows. Brady, empty net, deflected wide. Full house, Boston Garden. Hey, 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 goodbye, being sung. Rolls around far side, touched up. That's going to be an icing call.
That's an offside call, actually.
Yeah,
that was a set play that Montreal was trying, but Don Booth was across the red line by the Bruins bench when Desjardins tried the long hard around.
Al Morganti.
Well, Gary, I'm down here at the crowd level here, and they're, I guess, you never get used to beating Montreal in the spring here in Boston. They're just as excited as they were several years ago when they first ended that decades of doom they actually had against Montreal. It's not exactly like Bucky Dent's home run being taken back, but it's good when you beat Montreal. They know they're going on, and they can't wait for this to finally be over.
You see New Jersey still ahead 2-1, and they are down to the final seconds there. Brisebois sends it in. So we're going to know the matchups momentarily. 16 seconds left in this game. Boston Boston leading. Wraparound shot. Casey makes the save. Pollard got dumped. Final 10. Garden fans up and roaring. Stewart trying to dig it out. The defending Canadiens are eliminated. The Boston Bruins move on.
Some trouble at center ice just as the final siren went between Al Iafredi and Vincent Domfouche, but nothing to be gained for either player right now. This one is all over.
Boston 5 and Montreal 3. John Casey, the winner in net. And the last time the Canadiens lined up, it was to celebrate a Stanley Cup win. Boston Bruins will shortly know that their opponent in the second round is going to be the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey has beaten the Buffalo Sabres in their Game 7. New Jersey will have home ice. Brian Sutter, he actually smiled. That's not come easy in this series. And down there with the celebration going on around him, Al Morganti.
Well, Ray Bork, I guess you never get used to a moment like this. You've owned Montreal for the past few springs. It's still got to be a great thrill.
Oh, it's always a great thrill. 7 games and the 7th one in the Garden. And, you know, we've worked so hard all series long, and it's paid off because we never gave up. We're down 3-2. Went in there, won a big game. Came back at home and made it decisive tonight.
Before Game 6, you made a speech to your team. You're not one that's usually vocal. That important to you to come up and ask people to step up?
Well, I want to keep playing hockey here, and, you know, much too early. We played too hard and too well to let it slip away, and that's pretty much the message I was laying out.
Going into the next round, how do you feel about the team? The way you've come together now, you're playing without Cam, but you made out for it?
Well, I think so many guys are working hard. We're pressing the puck so well up front. We have guys coming up big with big goals. You know, so I'm feeling real good about the next series. We just got to continue pressing and creating mistakes and capitalize on them.
You've been playing the Devils. Any thoughts on the Devils? They've had as tough a series as you.
Well, they had a great year, and, you know, it should be a great series.
All right, thanks a lot, Raymond, and good luck. Gary?
Al, thanks very much. Ray Bork, who in his contract negotiations passed up other teams and bigger money in order to stay right here. And maybe that's all going to pay off. As Ray Bork and the Boston Bruins have come away with a 5-3 win in Game 7 of this first round, they move on to the second round. John Casey, their star in net, and the Montreal Canadiens season as defending Stanley Cup champions is over. For Bill Clement and Al Morganti, I'm Gary Thorne. There's your final. Boston 5, Montreal 3. Steve?
All right, Gary Thorne, thanks very much. Nice job, gentlemen, in Boston. And interesting, the Stanley Cup finalists now of last year have been erased. Montreal, the defending champ, they are out. And I've got the Los Angeles Kings here to my left. First of all, surprised by the outcome of this. I mean, Boston came in as the higher seed with the home ice advantage, so it can't be considered an upset.
Those two teams are so even all year. It's not really, I don't think there was a favorite. But Boston deserved to win. There's no doubt about that. They played great. They came together as a team. They did it without Cam Neely. That's a big story. Brian Sutter and Tom McVie have done an unbelievable job. They didn't let the team quit when Neely got hurt. They just kept working. They didn't use an excuse. A great effort by everybody on that team. Montreal played very, very well. Patrick was great, but Boston deserved to win the series.
All right, so the Bruins did have home ice for this all-important Game 7. They will not have home ice in the next round because they will be taking on the New Jersey Devils. Final seconds of the Devils game against the Buffalo Sabres that actually took place just seconds ago as the celebration is on at the Meadowlands-produced Rutherford, New Jersey, site of Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal series between the Boston Bruins and the New Jersey Devils Sunday afternoon. You'll see that on ABC. All the highlights of that game coming up in just a little bit. All the Game 7 excitement you had tonight, we're looking forward to more of the same tomorrow night. 2 more Game 7s. You will see the Sharks and Red Wings here on ESPN beginning at 7:30 Eastern with highlights of Calgary and Vancouver throughout the night. Highlights, post-game reaction, and much more when we return. Ray Bourque, the captain, you just heard from him. The Boston Bruins advance.